What up, YouTube? Flash Speaks back for another video. Listen, man, just real quick to my Philadelphia Eagles people who visit this channel for content. Listen, I'm not done with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's just right now, there's literally nothing going on. There's just a bunch of talk. There's just a bunch of speculation as to whether the Eagles are going to draft this guy, they're going to draft that, whether they're going to go after this particular position or that particular position. And really, I don't really have much to add until at least after free agency happens, when they start making moves, then I can give an opinion. I don't like to do the predictive thing because I'm not just here going to just make videos just so that, you know, I just give guys something. I really don't have anything good to, no good input to give. So that's the thing. But, you know, we're paying attention. Trust me, you know. That's for life, so we paying attention. All right, Bianca Belair, WWE. All right, recently, WWE superstar Bianca Belair has been put on the cover of, what's that, WWE 2K24. All right, from the outset. I stopped playing video games years ago. All right, nothing against it. I think video games are great. I'm sure the game is magnificent. I used to be a big time Madden player. Great. I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure the graphics are awesome. All of that type of stuff. However, just right now, at this point in my life, I've decided to spend the majority of my time on other things that I find to be a little bit more productive. And I mean, that's just me. You know, I'd rather just spend my time doing just some other things, whether it's making money somehow or, you know, seeking some type of like spiritual growth or whatever. I'm just at that point in my age right now where, you know, I see spending my time on video games as more of a liability than anything else, but that's neither here nor there. She's one of the people that WWE decided to put on the cover, along with Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley, okay? And the third was Bianca Belair. So I believe it's a cover that has Rhea and Bianca like kind of facing each other as maybe the two faces of the women's division, I guess they're trying to push. And then you have Cody Rhodes as being the by himself on his own cover. And from what I'm hearing is there was some backlash from fans about Bianca Belair being on the cover. And some wondering why. You know, and I'm kind of wondering, why are you wondering? Listen, you know what they say about opinions? Opinions are like assholes, and everyone has one. And there's a segment of the population that just has this dumb opinion. They want to say something, right? There's this assumption that Cody Rhodes is there because he, quote unquote, deserves it to be there. Rhea Ripley is there because, well, she's awesome. She deserves to be there. Bianca Belair is there, well, because they had to put a black person on there. This is what you think. And the amazing thing is, it's not only what you would think. You would only think as white people would think like that. No, there's actually Negroes who think like that as well. Black people who think that way as well. That, you know, we live in this hyper socialized and politicized country and politicized times. For people that are big time into politics, this starts to seep into politics. Race, gender, because people vote along those lines, you know, which is natural when you look at the history of our country. Our country was built based off of race. People had social status based off the color of their skin. People were considered, people had more access to growth and funds and so on based off the color of their skin. Literally, this is how the country was founded. Now, good thing we have progressed to some degree beyond that, but still you have remnants in the minds of people who came through these types of systems that are just still linger, okay? And wrestling is no different. It happens. The wrestling fans is a contingency. It's a microcosm of the greater whole of the country. Each individual is raised in houses with parents, who show who they really are in the home. The conversation that you're having with your kids, what television shows you decide to expose them to and watch, and what books you have them read. For those of us who still read, what speaking heads or talking heads you listen to, whether you grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh, for example, or you grew up listening to a Maury Povich, or you grew up listening to whoever, you choose, and whatever you're exposed to in your life, whatever your religion is, whatever your preacher, your family listens to, if there's anyone, these things will affect the way you think. And in different parts of the country, there are reputations that precede themselves. Some parts of the country consider the Bible Belt for a reason. Some parts of the country, consider a guy like Robert E. Lee to be a hero. Other parts of the country consider him to be a villain. This is America. This is where we are. So this doesn't surprise me. We're all coming into this world knowing nothing. And then we are influenced by parents, we're influenced by school, we're influenced by friends, we're influenced by social groups that we affiliate ourselves with, so on and so forth, okay? So it's not surprising there's going to be a contingency of people that think along this manner, okay? So when it comes to Bianca Belair, they don't care about the fact that she was a track star and she's an elite athlete. This is undeniable that she could bench press probably more than every chick on the roster, that she squats more than them, that she could military press more than all of them, that she's in the ring doing not only, picking chicks up over her head, throwing them around, but also flipping, does it all. That ain't the reason she's on the cover. She's on the cover because you just need a black person, you need representation on the cover. And this is just people's political views seeping into their opinions when it comes to wrestling. That's all it is. Like, honestly, if you want to stay out of wrestling, you just ignore it. You're going to have it. So then you have the backlash from those who argue with them, and then emotions start to rise, and then you have this nonsense, right? Me, what do I say? I say, look, let people talk what they're going to talk and be who they are, right? But at the same time, I understand wrestling. You got to look at what you have. You have a product that is not just completely organic. You have a product that is scripted. You have a product that is the baby or the thought child of a particular individual or group of individuals. Okay, you have an owner in Vince McMahon, who inherited from his father. And I don't know if there was a grandfather involved, whatever, but I know about his father, who was writing back in the 60s and 70s. Then he take over, and then you had other wrestling writers, and primarily those who owned the company, were of a particular race of persuasion. They were mostly white males who owned the companies. Okay, so in white males, you got owners are trying to put together a product that services people, okay? And the people is mixed. Like I said, I'm a black kid. Most of my friends were black kids growing up watching wrestling, so there's definitely a black contingency there that are watching, tuning in, providing ratings, who are going to these events. I went to wrestling events as a child, so that's putting money. I had all the damn toys, right? So I'm buying Hulk Hogan. I had the ring, I had Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Andre the Giant, I had Jimmy Superfly Snuka, had all of that stuff, right? So putting money up, and then you got the same thing with whites and so on, right? Now, whites just numerically constitute the majority here in the United States. So as a businessman, he's going to put together a product that he thinks is going to sell the best towards his group of people, the people that he's dealing with. Now, what is this going to end up looking like? What is the product going to look like? It's going to look like what you have. He's going to put out there what the crowd is going to react to. The crowds react for a number of different reasons. Okay, let's look back a little bit, just for a second, at what goes into the mindset of people and individuals when it comes to what boils over what people like. Okay, when you go back to wrestling in the early 60s, 70s, I'm going to kind of clump these two eras together because I think the boom was really the 80s. You had different wrestlers. You had this big guy, called him, I think they called him Big House or something like that, right? Big guy. Now you had the Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, who was probably one of the big guys back then, big attractions, okay? Buddy Rogers, why was he liked? Great heel, but what was his look? Look was what? White guy, blonde hair, blue eyes, athletic, right? Just think about it, okay? Now, the people like him because he, in the minds of some folks, is the ideal human, the ideal person. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. Don't sue me, but I'm not trying to say that the people consciously believe that about certain characteristics of people. But let's be honest, okay? In Mein Kampf, you had Adolf Hitler. I know, very, very divisive name, but let's be real. He wrote a book where he described what he considered to be the superior race. This was called the German Aryan, okay? And the German Aryan is described as blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, athletic. Now, let's just keep this here in mind, okay? Though he didn't fit that description himself, Hitler himself, black hair or brown hair, whatever, medium height, okay, little mustache, he didn't fit that description at all. But he was able to sell to a whole, not a whole country, but a number of people in this country, enough people to take over of this idea. He was able to sell this idea of the superior race being what? Blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, athletic, okay? And was able to wreak havoc and start a World War II, right? Not saying that's what started it, but the philosophy of that, what was his. This philosophy was not only his, but it was shared by others, some others in the United States. Ku Klux Klan, skinheads, and their different derivatives as well, okay? Now, I can be crazy, but I've read up on these things. I kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying it's all racist. I'm not saying wrestling is racist. But what I am saying is there is a particular formula for a superstar in the minds of people, certain people, especially here in the West, and actually in certain places around the globe, that seems to be a foolproof way that works. And Vince McMahon knows about it and he uses it, okay? Let's look at who have been the biggest wrestlers, like, of all time, like, especially if you go back, to his genesis here. And I target the 1980s is when wrestling really boomed and became a worldwide phenomenon, okay? Who was the guy? Okay, we could target two major organizations, and we can actually add a third. All right, first is NWA, which later becomes WCW. We have the WWF, which became WWF, then WWE as it is now. And you also had AWA. You had others as well. AWA was pushing a guy named Nick Bockwinkel. Go look up Nick Bockwinkel, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, athletic guy. Okay. We already know about WCW, or NWA, which became WCW. Who was the guy they were pushing? That's right, Ric Flair, okay? Blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, got it, right? Okay, then what was happening in WCW? The guy they were pushing that really blew wrestling up, Hulk Hogan. Get where I'm going? Okay. Before Hulk Hogan was what? Superstar Billy Graham. Blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, athletic, okay? I hope you catch my drift, okay? There's a certain formula, and I'm not saying like there's, I would say, intentional racism there, and I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that he believes that this image, when pushed properly, works, and people will come pay to see these guys, okay? Now, that's not to say that others don't get over and so on, but what I'm saying is oftentimes the faces of these companies fit a particular description. This is just the case. This is just the case, okay? Now, just so you know I ain't crazy, let's look outside of actually wrestling as well. Let's look outside of wrestling and look at other things, okay? We go to Marvel Comics if you're a Marvel Comics fan, okay? All right. Now, DC is the opposite, but a Marvel Comics fan. If you look at Marvel Comics, who is the guy that really, really pushes it? Besides Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man, Peter Parker is a little different, right? But look at the MCU. MCU pushes the one guy that's the immortal that never dies. His name is Thor, okay? Thor. Even though the original Nordic Thor of Scandinavia, of the old Thor that was worshipped, right, was a redhead who didn't actually carry a hammer. I mean, in a way he did, but he didn't fly by hammer. He actually was on a chariot, right? He's red hair, but MCU made him what? And then Stan Lee in the comics made him what? Blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, athletic. Okay, look in the MCU. Thor carries Mjolnir. Okay, Mjolnir. Who's the other guy that can pick up Mjolnir? Besides the Vision, he don't count because he's. But actually, Vision too is blonde hair, athletic. But we're not gonna get into that. Okay. The other guy is Steve Rogers, Captain America, who is, by the way, my favorite character in Marvel. But Captain America, the other guy that can pick up Mjolnir. Okay. You gotta understand the significance of these things. Okay. Mjolnir is one that's worthy of the power of Thor. Okay. Who takes it from Odin, who's what? Blonde hair, blue eye. Get it? Okay. Some people, that's what they prefer, and the opposite is what Bianca Belair represents, is the opposite of it, right? Because remember, prior to this, who were they pushing as the most athletic female in the wrestling division? Was it not the daughter of Ric Flair? Okay. Prior to that, their face was who? Prior to that, we go back. Trish Stratus, first one they picked. Okay. Same description. We ain't got to keep giving the description out. Charlotte Flair. How many times did she win the belt? You know what I mean? Put it against who? Trish Stratus, think about it. Put it against who? Lita. Lita, who was arguably more talented. But what did they have Lita do? She became most famous for having a sex scene, okay, with the rated R superstar, Edge. Blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, athletic, right? Okay. So, this is the mindset. And from a business standpoint, I don't really have a big problem with it because I understand. You're just trying to make money. You're trying to make money. But it can also lead into some other problems, like booking, like knowing what to do with booking, like knowing what to do with characters. There's no doubt about it. I think it's more difficult for black talent to get over in wrestling in general than it is for white talent. You know, I think it's ridiculous that it took, you know, an industry that arguably been in existence for 30 years before they ever had a black champion like Ron Simmons. I think that was ridiculous. But I never saw the racism at that time because I don't feel like it's their responsibility to give black people belts and stuff like that. I never felt that way. If I'm the person that's more likely to put the onus on black people to go and start their own wrestling companies. And hell, you can write whatever scripts you want, right? That's my real feeling on that, in a free marketplace like that. But I am not at the same time blind to what's really happening. Okay, if you have white men in creative spaces trying to create the best stars and create the best stories and so on, they can't help but see things through the prism of their own mind and perception. That's the way that works. So that's why Vince McMahon is, though he isn't blonde hair blue eye himself, he pushes those because he believes that that's what sells. He believes that's the image that sells. He might believe that that's the image that represents beauty. Who knows? Obviously, he does. If you look at what happens with certain types of talent, and it's a big problem. Like even if you look at now what's happening with the Tiffany Stratton here, people complain about Bianca Belair's push when you see all that she could do in the ring, and you see how she had to go through NXT. Okay, NXT put her on. Just think about her. Bianca Belair's NXT run. She is undefeated, goes on an undefeated streak to NXT until they put her up against, the top ones. Okay, at the time it was the tough girl, the oh man, the one who they be playing real bad now, man. I can't forget the funny looking chick. Oh my God, Ronda Rousey's buddy. Can't think of her name right now. Loses to her. Then loses to Ripley. Okay, and then they humiliate her by having Charlotte Flair come down. Okay, and beat her in about 5 minutes. All right, this is the humiliation she had to go through in NXT. I remember the time I was snapping about that. I really felt some type of way about that, and I was almost ready to stop watching that shit when I saw that. Okay, I ain't forget it. But then they kind of tried to make up for it, act like they made up for it by having her go, to the main roster and have some a degree of success. They have Bayley get her over. Okay, Bayley and Sasha. Okay, they didn't actually have Becky, or Becky was hurt at the time, or Charlotte, which I think was horrible booking. Okay. And personally, if it was me, this is what I would have done. I would have helped Charlotte and I would have helped Bianca at the same time by doing this. Charlotte has problems getting over on the people. They just push her because she fits the image. She's the daughter of Ric Flair, all of that. So there was just a concerted effort to push her. There was never like this organic love for Charlotte. That's all make-believe, okay? What I would have done was, first of all, stop having Charlotte be so damn dominant in the ring. That's the first thing. That doesn't always help. That's not always the key, just being super dominant. This was the problem with the Ultimate Warrior. He was too dominant in the ring. All right, so have her be vulnerable. What you do is you take Bianca Belair and you bring her up as a heel, as Charlotte as a face. What I would have done was have Charlotte finally run into this person, Bianca, who is actually more athletic, stronger, all of that. Okay, I would have had Charlotte had a belt, Bianca come in, take the belt from her right away. But as a heel, bully, just whatever, no respect for the veterans, none of that. That's where I would have had Bianca come into the main roster. I wouldn't have brought her in as a face. I would have brought her in as a heel. You have Charlotte just be frustrated, like, wow, I'm usually more athletic than everyone. I'm usually faster, stronger, so on. But I just can't beat this girl and have her lose to her. I would have it over a year. Where Charlotte just can't seem to get over the hump with this girl. The girl keeps getting the best of her. Until finally she gets over the hump and beats her. Okay? Earns Bianca's respect, humbles Bianca, and now you can turn her into a face at that point, okay? And you help Charlotte by having Charlotte gain some empathy from the fans. That's what I would have done. It's my idea, okay? I think they kind of didn't help either one with what they did. Well, without a doubt, Bianca was still successful. They went the route of having Bailey kind of get her over. All right. Bailey, who's probably one of the best on the roster right now when you look at all things considered. And then they had her and Sasha put on one of the best WWE matches, WrestleMania matches ever. Okay. And they pushed it as a, black thing, whatever. And I'm not for or against that sort of thing. There's been years and years and years and years of just whites constantly dominating in this arena. So when that happens, that's fine. Sometimes people are uncomfortable when it's pushed as first time black women, this and that. I get that. They're uncomfortable with the uncomfortableness with that, but it's sad that it takes that long for these things to happen. And because they take so long, that's why they're pushed that way. That it's the first time ever, and we're talking about 2020 something, with an industry that had been in existence since the damn 1970s. That's why those things happen. There's reasons for why things are the way they are. You see, people aren't just crazy, imagining things. Okay? All right. So she gets where she is based on all of that. So, yeah, if you're going to put someone on the cover, why wouldn't she just deserve to be on the cover just like anybody else? I think it's beyond ridiculous, and it's nothing to even defend as far as her being on the cover. A better question would be, why is Cody on the damn cover? That's, I think, a better question. Okay? So, that's pretty much, what I kind of got to say about. Oh yeah, and this is the thing now, like, and it's real. This formula must work. You look at this Tiffany Stratton, who is very talented, without a doubt. But I really, really have this feeling that they're going to mess her career up, or well, I ain't gonna say mess it up, but I don't think she'll be as great as she could be because of they won't accept her as a heel. That these fans, they won't accept her as a heel, which is bad for her because I don't know that she could do the face thing as well as the heel thing. See, everybody's not great at the face thing as they are with the heel thing. She's a above average awesome heel, okay? But she comes with a persona that, I'm better than you, I'm better than everybody. That's the type of person you're supposed to boo, really, but beneath it, you're booing out of respect. You see, you're supposed to boo this person out of respect, not out of a genuine dislike, but out of respect. Fans got to kind of understand that. Like once it's over and you out there, you get the person's autograph. You tell them, good job. But the person's a heel. Now, they're cheering and cheering and cheering because she fits the mold, blonde, blue-eyed, athletic, right? But what happens is you turn her into the face, and no longer is Tiffany Time going to work as a face. No longer is Center Universe going to work as a face. No longer is walking in the locker room causing trouble, smacking people, and all of that stuff going to work as a face, right? Now, some people didn't like my last video where I was telling you, but I'm telling you, these are facts. Okay, I've watched enough of this stuff when they turn people here and there, and like they did this with Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff back in the 80s, tried to turn him face, and it was some of the corniest stuff I've ever seen when they put him with Hulk Hogan after having him turn on the Hulk Hogan, and first you start out with Bobby Heenan, and they start doing too much of that stuff. The stuff gets trash. It becomes trash, right? Who else did they do that with? I might just write down a laundry list of bad booking decisions, they've made, over the years, taking faces and making them heels and heels to faces based off of the crowd reaction. Sometimes you got to just force to the crowd. I hope they keep this girl Tiffany as a heel and force the crowd to accept it. Like right now, there's so many people that like Rhea Ripley. She'll end up being a face in a minute. Then who the hell's gonna be the heel? You know, and this destroys wrestling. Then you start having this heel versus heel booking and face versus face booking. You can't do too much of that because now storylines become confusing. And people no longer have a rooting interest based on anything genuine or based on anything decent. The rooting interest is just now because, all right, I like the way she look over the way she look, or I like the way he look over the way he look, or I like, stupid stuff, you know. One of the things that annoys me now is really what's happening with Montez. Not so much her, but really with Montez. You know, WWE. Why are you pushing a guy like Logan Paul over a guy like Montez Ford? Explain to me why you're pushing a Logan Paul over Montez Ford. Unless you take Logan Paul, you give him a belt like that in order to have a Montez Ford beat him. It's no excuse why Montez Ford should still be with some damn Dawkins after all this time when you see what this guy can do in the ring. You push a guy that's a fake-ass carbon copy like Logan Paul just because he was on social fucking media. And I get it, he's a good heel. He's good at making you hate him, right? This is really what you should be doing with Tiffany. Tiffany should be going that route, like what he's doing, right? But what is it? Why? You know, these are the questions. What's the difference between Logan Paul and Montez Ford, except one is blonde hair, blue eyes, athletic? Okay? And with that, we'll drop the mic.